From their representation of the Black Lives Matter movement to their failed attempt at going woke, these are Blue Blood's most controversial episodes of all time. It's finally happening. The show that used to be everyone's favorite police drama has hit a rough patch in its 11th season. The viewership's taken a nosedive and left the directors scratching their heads. I mean, we're talking about a show that's been around for a whopping 13 years, with 12 seasons and 250 episodes under its belt. And it has definitely made a name for itself as one of the most well-known cop shows on TV, maybe even in the history of cop shows. But it looks like all good things do come to an end, as season 11 created a major rift among its loyal viewers, causing a massive chunk of the fan base to pack their bags and leave. There were a lot of reasons for why they abandoned ship, and for starters, Season 11 dropped right after some major social and racial movements, like the powerful Black Lives Matter protests that shook up the whole country. You'd think that the police drama would be super careful about the whole situation, right? Wrong. Instead, they decided to roll out one of the most controversial episodes of the entire series. In Season 11, the new normal really stirred things up. In the episode, Officer Danny Reagan finds himself face-to-face with a civilian named Warren Pratt, who's holding an officer's gun after a scuffle with Officer Wendell.
I just need you to put your hands behind your back. Come on.
Warren even has the nerve to point that weapon at Danny and his partner, Maria. But here's the twist. Danny doesn't pull the trigger. Nope. He keeps his cool and holds his fire, even with Wendell urging him to shoot. You might be wondering why Danny didn't just blast Warren into next week. Well, according to Danny, the guy wasn't an immediate threat. Sure, he had a gun and all, but Danny believed that shooting should be the last resort, and here's where things get interesting. Critics actually gave this episode a decent score of 7.4, which is not too shabby, but the fans weren't thrilled with what went down. And it's not for the reason you might be thinking. The fans weren't mad about Danny showing restraint, but their concern was that the show was siding with a certain movement. A big chunk of the fan base didn't see eye to eye with the police reform movement, believing that law enforcement was being unfairly treated, and they saw the episode as the show taking a stance in favor of the movement. That definitely ruffled some feathers. And by some feathers, I mean people took to social media to declare that they were officially done with the show. One frustrated fan even claimed that the family strayed from their earlier values, like the time Frank removed a supposedly racist cop from her position. Let's take a trip back to 2018, when episode 15 of season 8 created quite a buzz on Twitter. People were calling it the worst episode the show had ever produced. And let's face it, the show's been losing viewers ever since that season started airing. I'm talking a drop from a massive 14 million viewers to a humble 6 million today, which, if you do the math, is quite a dip. So back to this so-called worst episode ever titled Legacy. The episode shows our main man, Frank Reagan, the glue holding the whole series together, making a tough call. Frank had to deal with a police officer who was accused of racial profiling, and guess what? The whole incident got caught on video and went viral. People were pointing fingers left and right, calling out the officer for her actions, and Frank had to step in and make a decision. And you know what he did? He removed her from her post. Here's where things got sticky, though. This episode caused a lot of controversy, because Frank's always been known for backing up his fellow officers no matter what. But he went against the flow this time, and fans weren't too happy about it. They felt like Frank had gone soft, and he was losing his edge, and maybe even needed a break or something, just like the time when they wrote off Jennifer Esposito's character, Jackie Curatola. Curatola was the kind of person who'd carefully assess the situation before making a move, while Danny, on the other hand, would charge in without a second thought. They balanced each other out, and fans absolutely adored her for it. And let's not forget, Jackie was brought to life by the incredibly talented Jennifer Esposito, which is reason enough to love her, right? If you'd placed your bets on Jennifer sticking around for the entire run of the show, well, let's just say you'd be a few bucks shorter. Curatola was a series regular for the first 3 seasons, and she appeared in a solid 46 episodes. That's enough time for fans to really get to know her and delve into her backstory, and even come up with some fan theories about where her character could go next. But right before the 4th season aired, Jennifer dropped a bombshell revealing that her role had been cut. Fans were devastated, especially since no one wanted to see Curatola's character go. According to a few sources and Jennifer herself, it turns out that the showrunners started feeling uneasy because of her celiac disease diagnosis. Apparently, she had collapsed on set and had to be rushed to the hospital, but she assured everyone that she was otherwise in good health. And when Jennifer mentioned that her doctors advised her to take a step back from acting, the showrunners interpreted it as, "Hey, just write me off the show completely." Jennifer was pressed about it for a while, but eventually decided to take the high road. And you know what? It's their loss. But not everyone agrees with how their character was dealt with, such as Amy Carlson. Poor Danny just can't catch a break, can he? First, his work wife Curatola left him for a less stressful job. Yeah, that's how the producers got rid of her, which explains why everyone is so mad about it. Then, Danny's actual wife, Linda Reagan, met an even worse fate. No, she didn't leave the guy because of a stressful marriage, because she was killed off the show itself, and let me tell you, Carlson, who played Linda, is still feeling bitter about it. She started off as a recurring character in seasons 1 through 5 until she was promoted to a starring lead role from seasons 5 through 7. Things were looking up for Linda, but right before the 8th season hit the screens, it was revealed that Carlson wouldn't be returning to the series. I know you're wondering, how did they write her character off? Well, they just said that she died in a freaking plane crash. Yep, just like that. No dramatic crash sequence either, and Danny just had to drop the bombshell that his wife, the mother of his child, and the woman who had been a central focus of the show died in a crash somewhere off-screen. I totally understand why Carlson would be bitter about the whole situation, because the way they wrote her off the show didn't make any sense. And believe me, episode 1 of season 8 was one heck of a controversial episode because of it. But hey, at least it's better than the time they tried to be woke, but failed miserably. Season 5's Burning Bridges is infamous for its colossal failure in execution. Sure, the premise had potential, but the way they handled it cringed everyone out. The episode features a police officer who decides to come out, revealing his orientation to his patrol buddy, which made him uncomfortable and led to them getting assigned different partners. The whole police force starts gossiping about it, and the poor guy feels isolated. But don't get your hopes too high, because while this sounds like a compelling episode, the showrunners definitely missed the mark with this one. Fans were quick to call out the showrunners for trying way too hard to be woke, almost like they decided to jump on the bandwagon without working out the kinks. And let me tell you, their attempt at being socially aware fell flat on its face. It wasn't something that fans were expecting or even asking for. They just wanted a well-crafted storyline, and not a clumsy attempt at ticking off boxes. Viewers felt like the show was forcing its way into a conversation it didn't need to be a part of. And the result? A horrible failure that left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. So there you have it, from their failed attempt at going woke to their representation of the Black Lives Matter movement. Those were Blue Blood's most controversial episodes of all time.